In this video, we're going to show you how to install wheel hubs on your Kia Sorento located behind your front wheels. Using a 21mm socket, go ahead and loosen and remove your lug nuts. Go ahead and grab that wheel, remove it, and set it aside. Now I want to remove our caliper and bracket as well. We're going to use our 17mm socket to go ahead and loosen these bolts. Now I'm going to loosen and remove the lower bolt first. I'm going to take that one out first because the upper bolt is holding that unit in place. Now before you remove the upper one, you want to go ahead and grab one of these here or something like this. It's a caliper hanging hook, or you can grab a securing strap of some sort, because when we remove this here, we're going to go ahead and hang it off of our strut up top here and up and out of the way. It pulls back. Use the hook and lift that up and hang it up top. Now what I want to do is go ahead and crank my wheel over. You can have someone hop into the vehicle and turn it for you. I'm going to simply go ahead and put a screwdriver in my vents on my rotor and go ahead and pry this. This is going to allow me to get some leverage and move this. Use our 10mm socket, loosen and remove this bolt. I'm going to go ahead and put that bolt right back in there. Next, you want to go ahead and pull the ABS wire out of the bracket on your strut. Don't pull on the wire up here to yank it out. You want to go ahead and, if you can, put 2 fingers behind there and work this out like so. Using a 32mm socket, loosen and remove the axle nut. Go remove the washer that's in there. On your brake rotor, you may have Phillips head screws here holding the rotor to the hub. If you do, let's remove those next. If you do not have them, it is not critical to the operation. Grab that rotor, pull it off, and set it aside. Next thing you want to pay attention to is the axle itself. Now the axle itself has splines on it and engages with the wheel hub. You want to make sure that this axle is free floating. You can see I can push in on that. If it is not doing that, that means that the splines are frozen to the splines. Spray it down with some rust penetrant. You can use a punch in the center and go ahead and knock this free. Now you may have noticed that our backing plate is now missing. Unfortunately, while we're working on this here, ours was so rusted it just crumbled off and fell off. Hopefully yours is still pretty solid. We would recommend that if yours is missing or rotted like this here, that you replace it, but that's completely up to you. Now let's go ahead and continue. Now our wheel hub itself needs to come off. There's going to be 4 bolts that come through the knuckle into the wheel hub itself. There's 2 on the top here, 2 on the bottom, and you're going to access them through the back side here. So let's go ahead and get to it. Now what I'm going to use is a 14mm shallow socket and a short extension with my ratchet, and you're going to access these bolts on the back side here. All right, so our next step here for us, because as you can see, our components here are all pretty rusty to the point where we lost our backing plate. Our wheel hub here could be rusted to our knuckle. And if you have your backing plate, you don't have a lot of room to go ahead and smack the hub with a hammer, only in a couple spots where you have some clearance. So I'm going to give you a little tip here. I'm going to go ahead and remove your bolts. So watch this stud here. I'm going to back this out just until that bolt just goes recessed with the hub face itself. I'm going to do this for all 4. And I'm going to show you how we're going to utilize our studs to remove our wheel hub. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch over to a 6-inch extension, and I'm going to put it on one of the bolts here. I'm going to go ahead and grab my hammer, and I'm going to go ahead and tap this here. And what our goal is to do is utilize the bolts with the shoulders on them to go ahead and push the wheel hub out. Now what you might end up doing is rotating the wheel back and forth to go ahead and get some good swings on there to knock these out. You switch over to a larger hammer if you need to. I'm gonna go to the other side here and crank this out a little bit like so. It's easier to rotate the wheel if you have a tire on the other side. Soak this in some rust penetrant. Hopefully this will seep in a little bit. And we're just going to continue this process. Now, if you have any way to get access to the hub face itself without hitting your backing plate, go ahead and hit behind the flange here to go ahead and separate this from the knuckle. I'm going to rotate my wheel hub back over. I'm going to do this by going to the other side of the vehicle. Get this back over to where I had it before. I'm going to go ahead and remove those bolts the rest of the way. With that wheel hub removed, go ahead, pop out that last bolt, pull that out. We do want to go ahead and focus on the hub face itself. I want to clean up any of this rust and stuff like that that's built up on this. So let's go ahead and take care of that. I'm going to use some spray solvent to clean off some of this residual garbage here. Now I do want to pay attention to the inside of the knuckle itself. And ours is pretty scaly in there, so we're going to clean that as well as the flange here. Now, if you're doing something like this, you want to be careful of your ABS speed sensor. Don't get any tools or cleaning stuff or grinders or anything near that sensor. Now obviously you should have your backing plate on here. If you have to, you can use your wire brush to kind of get in a little bit closer, but our flange itself should pretty much be open as you see here. I'm going to go ahead and apply some anti-seize compound to this next. Now let's go ahead and install our wheel hub. Now installing your wheel hub, you want to pay attention to the bolt pattern. The pattern is more narrow, so it's going to be set in this way, not this way. You can notice that they're taller. So go ahead and line things up, put that onto your axle, grab that axle, push it in. All right, at this point here, we're gonna go ahead and start putting our bolts into the back and get them caught on the flange here, and then we'll tighten them down evenly all around. I'm gonna go ahead and get one of these bolts fed in and just kind of work that wheel hub. Just kind of wiggle the hub around a little bit and get those caught. And once you get two of them in, the other two pretty much line up. So go ahead and get those run in. Now ideally what you want to do is, if that hub doesn't pretty much fall into that knuckle, which ours is for the most part, you want to tighten this side here and then go to the diagonal opposite corner, tighten that one down, and then come across to this one here and then down. You're going to do a crisscross pattern. That way there, it's going to go ahead and pull the wheel hub into the knuckle evenly. Now that we have these all snug, we now want to go ahead and torque these down to 87 foot-pounds. Now that we have all four of these torqued, we're going to make sure that axle is all the way through. Go ahead and install the nut. I'm going to go ahead and snug that down. You see what I did there? Just snugged it down. You don't want to over tighten it using your impact gun because now we need to torque this. I'm gonna go ahead and grab 2 lug nuts and thread these on. Now I'm using a pry bar between these 2 lug nuts here. That's gonna help protect the threads. And I have my torque wrench on here. I'm gonna torque this down to 159 foot-pounds. And once you're torqued, you can go ahead and loosen and remove the lug nuts. Now at this point here, you want to go ahead and grab a cotter pen. I'm going to feed this through. And this is a preference on what you want to do. What I like to do is I'm going to just take one of these legs, fold it over, and then I snip the other. You may want to take one and spread it over the top and the other one spread over the back side there and use both sides of these, but it's not necessary. I'm going to go ahead and rotate this hub back over to the driver's side again. I'm going to grab that wheel and just go ahead and manually rotate this around like so. Now it's recommended to go ahead and apply some anti-seize here on the face of the hub. Now before we install our brake rotor, I want to be sure that we go ahead and clean this. So just use some spray solvent on the side, clean that off, and then we'll install it. Now we're ready to install our brake rotor. Make sure when you install it that you line up the holes for the screws if you're reusing those. We are, so we're just going to position our brake rotor accordingly. Make sure to clean the front surface as well. If you're installing your screws, go ahead and do so now. You want to make sure that these are good and snug. Go ahead and grab your caliper, remove that tool. Make sure your pads are recessed in and slide this into place. Now while holding this here, we're going to go ahead and install our upper bolt on our caliper bracket. Once you get that upper bolt started, a few threads, you can go ahead and let go. That bolt will hold it, and then go ahead and get that lower one lined up. And then you just got to slide that caliper up a little bit, get that lined up. Do the same here, get that started. Now I like to run them in as far as I can by hand. And we'll go ahead and pop our ratchet on there. And we'll snug them down. All right, let's go ahead and torque those down. I want to go ahead and torque this down to 60 foot-pounds. Go ahead and grab that wheel, line it up onto those wheel studs. Let's go ahead and get our lug nuts started. Now once we get all of these started, we're going to come back and snug them all down. Let's go ahead and torque down our lug nuts to 75 foot-pounds. You want to do this in a crisscross pattern. After finishing this installation, it's important to have an alignment done on your vehicle.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.